and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
Y'all ready for this?
Right, everyone, welcome to the Trident Rank Method meeting that we have put together with myself, Jordan Pierce, aka JP, and my good friend Keith Lambo Evans. Just wanted to go over a couple of things that we're kind of seeing that's going to help everybody coming up into the new year. It's something that we have put together through a lot of our own testing that we actually have come to call the Trident Rank Method. So, all right, without further ado, so just a little bit about us in case you guys don't know who we are. My name is Jordan Pierce. I've been in the industry doing local SEO since around 2009. Primarily work with local SEO as far as local businesses go. I've done everything from client SEO, lead generation, things like that. I've also owned a couple of my own local small service companies as well. And then we have my good friend Keith, who we actually first met at SEO Rockstars. If you are familiar with that major events put on by Dory Friend, we actually got to spend an hour inside a -5 degrees bar. So that's both of us trying to stay warm the best we can.
Look at you have an ice glass in your
I
hand.
do. I don't know
Gloves.
what I'm holding underneath that. I think I'm sitting on something.
A bottle of vodka, possibly. And this
Probably.
is terrible. This is how you know boys can't take selfies, right?
Yeah. We look very, very young in the SEO years, if you will.
I was friends with Jordan a year up to this event, 2019, I believe, 2018, and
Yeah.
Rockstars. And then we just had a lot of the same ideals because he worked in local. I worked in local, came out of Yellow Pages. He worked in the telephone side. And we just was like, yeah, you got to hack the pages. You got to find out unique ways to manipulate the maps and manipulate on page and really push the Google ranking. I've been in digital marketing 20 plus years, started way back on front page in 2001, messing with title and H1. And so I'm very much a on-page specialist, the words, the images, the graphics. And that's a big factor, obviously, in trying to get the conversions is the messaging. So here we are at Rockstars, and that's where we've been friends ever since. And I'd bounce ideas off of Jordan. He'd bounce ideas off of me. And he's like, hey, try this. Let's look at this. And we're like, man, is it really that simple? And we're like, yeah. All these other guys are talking about these secrets and these hacks and AI. And it's like, no, 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 no. This is all you need to do. Traffic, links, content.
So that brings us to kind of what's on the agenda today. We went through some introductions. We're going to be talking about what is the Trident Rank Method. It's something that I have kind of developed as my main kind of SOP, which is basically TLC that I refer to, which is traffic, links, and content, like Keith mentioned. So we're going to go over a little bit about kind of what traffic looks like for your GMB and also into your sites. We'll talk about some link building that's going to help, content. And then we have a bonus for you. And if you guys have been following Keith for a while, he put out some really great content recently in regards to a recent client that he brought on board. And so we're going to be going over some things with that, some of those results. So really what's the main thing with traffic is that we are looking at several different signals. It could be direct traffic, obviously CTR, things like that. But some of the main things that we're looking at when it comes to traffic, there's quite a few different ways, which is a way to force different engagement signals. When a a customer reaches to your GMB, there's several things that they can engage with. That's going to be things like reading your post, leaving reviews, maybe posting photos. There's a question and answers section as well. That's that people can engage with as well. Along with that, there's a lot of different methodologies to kind of help you, what I call basically forcing engagement, and that could be sending out the actual review link. You can do redirects, which would basically look something similar like this, where someone fills out a brief survey or basically a web form, and then as soon as they click on the submit, then it gets redirected over to your GMB, which someone can then leave a review in this case. So that's a couple little tricks that you can do, as well as using things like driving directions. So if you, I see this actually quite a bit on like hair salon sites, basically local stores, where they will actually leave different driving directions. So let's say you're coming from a certain city, it'll start posting that city. So again, that's driving directions is the natural traffic engagement signal. So those are some kind of little tricks that you can do to kind of help force that engagement going into your customers, people looking for your type of business. The next one's going to be looking at some paid ads. You can use things like ads on Google, which you can use different tricks that we show to help with different search results. You can also use display ads, such as things like TikTok, Facebook. You can also use display ads like Taboola, Outbrain, and things like that. So that is the overall what traffic is, and regarding what we're seeing coming into the new year, is that there's a lot of engagement signals that Google's looking at when a user finally reaches to your GMB. Content, I'm going to go ahead and Keith, you want to talk a little bit about like kind of Geohub's content, what we look
Sure.
at for as far as on page? I'm going to go ahead and actually I'll stop sharing. And
Oh, you want me to share if you want to activate that? Jordan, let's see. I don't know if I can. There we go. Press the right button. Wait for the hello. This is I have a full on Rank With Me series actually happening right now. I'm only 16, 17 days in with this brand new site. It's a customer has been around for 2 years. Or let me back up. The business has been around for 2 years, but in this situation, I just rebuilt the site and published it, and bam, it rocketed right up into the maps. This is a rank tracker here. Let me just zoom in just so you get a little bit closer details. This is using Authority Labs. So this is the business as published in Google Maps for Boise. If you drop a phone in Boise, and then when I started this on October 12th. So the cool thing is when you have the right content, right? Here we are. This was the ranking that day. And then it got indexed and published on Monday. And bam, it just took off like a rocket. Now, like a lot of times we see this, it'll go up and down, right? It's going up, it's going down, it's going up. However, just recently on the 27th, I did a video and it had the best ranking ever. And now, so today's the 30th, but the actual information is it waits till 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So this is yesterday's data. Just like, wow, great. And people are like, are you kidding me? You must have messed with the citations. No. You added schema. No. You added links. No. This just is great on page. If you take a close look at one of the free tools I love to use is called SEO Meta in one click. We'll put that into the chat. It's just a free Chrome extension. And, you'll clearly see I'm using what Google expects. It's a Boise laundromat. They do laundry services. I do take advantage of the description. I have all the right headers. There's an H1. I'm sneaky with the near me right there, right in Google's face, right? Then just if you look at these headlines, use the word best, got laundry service. I repeat the geo again. These are all very, very important keywords. This is just filler that's tied in obviously to the image in that headline, but people are searching for drop-off laundry. They're searching for self-service. They're looking also for a wash house. That's a entity, and that's one thing we'll show you how to do is to find entities and get those secondary keywords. Here's another secondary keyword, same day cleaner. It's kind of more related to a dry cleaner, but the nice advantage is people do want to drop off their laundry and get it clean the same day. Here's another secondary keyword, washateria, that's tied into laundromat. When you build the perfect page, and then what's even better, when you connect it into, oh, I got to press the right button here. You connect it into the Geohub. If you zoom in up on the URL, you're going to notice I put Boise as its own folder. And then it's all the service pages for this customer. So it doesn't matter if this was dental, a plumber, a roofer. These guys they have a retail establishment, but then they have a service area as well. All the links are right here. And you want to know about drop-off laundry, you click on it. It goes right to, again, the dedicated, this is the city. This is what they do. And look at all this lushness. This is how you can radiate all this power and dominate and really push the Google Map ranking with the Geohub.
Right. And I mean, that was pretty amazing. I mean, that was a brand new site build that we put in there for the client, and it was pretty instant. As soon as it went into deployment, it was pretty much then within a day, couple of days.
Yeah,
Um,
Google crawls it, it sees all the relevant information, and they're like, hey, you do laundry services, bam, we'll rank you. And it's right there. And I ranked it number one within the 14-day window. But I'm continuing to do more videos just to give an update, because are there other ways we can push prominence? Are there other ways we can get more organic? It's all about great content, and that really then ties into the links, right?
yep. So the biggest thing too, just to kind of reiterate, if you go back to the Boise page, real quick, you'll notice that this is when you attach a page like this to your GMB, this is really a great way to showcase everything that your location offers. It's got everything for us. And obviously, you come in here, it's laundry services. One thing that's important too is it's an opportunity for you, whatever your URL that you're using for your GMB, you want to fill that out as much as you can with all the services that you offer, your service area. If you're like a plumber, for example, you're going to want to list, all the cities that you cover. Boise Metro has probably 8 to 10 major cities within the major metropolitan. So you want to list, all the cities, and actually be able to link those out to those additional city locations. So you'll look on here, this is all the services that this laundromat offers. So it's really bringing in as much relevance as possible. While it's looking good, you're filling in, you're not spamming anything, but it's a very well laid out page it really incorporates everything, pricing, content, as far as what you do. where you do it. And the most important thing is if you're a plumber, a locksmith, you're really able to showcase every single thing that you offer. So no longer are you just pointing an individual page or just a home page for your GMB, because what I see most of the time is, it's very minimal to the amount of services in Geo that people are using for their actual GMB URL. So super, super important. It kind of leads into links and what we do for link building, which is definitely a big part going into the new year. Link building, it can be is very simple as building some citations, which you can get at least into the top 10 to 20. I know Keith has some great tricks with getting into some local chamber of commerces, things like that. Also, press releases are definitely a big one. Press releases, you can get several hundreds of links. But not only that, it's a great branding type of link as well, because you can, when you create a press release, you can link out to your main Geohub that's pointing to your GMB. You can also link directly to your GMB listing as well. Um, we don't do anything as far as like any major trickery or any, spend a bunch of money on writing guest posts or doing outreach or any of that. Usually the max of our link building is usually building some of those top citations and maybe just doing 1 or 2 rounds of a press release. There are some other types of links that you can do, PBNs, if it's something that you feel comfortable doing, they definitely do help. But as long as you're doing everything right with getting your branding, your on page, and filling everything out in your maps, then the typical listing that you really only need is your press releases and just those top citations. So link building, it's a little bit of a trickier thing because it's you got to be careful with what you do for anchors. Nathan Gotch, if you guys are familiar with him, he has a really great article that talks about the types of anchors that he uses, everything from branded, a blended type of anchor, topical words. So it's one thing that's really important too is as link building is one of the fastest ways, if not the fastest way, to build association with your brand. So if your name is ABC company and you're a laundromat, then one type of anchor that you're going to want to put in there is something related to ABC company, then having that laundromat word actually in that anchor. So that way Google is able to associate your brand as ABC company as being a laundromat.
Jordan,
Um,
uh, did you have did you anything want to share anything else?
yeah, I'm actually pulling up a press release right now. I'm trying to log in here.
I can bring up my Google Search Console too, which is really kind of interesting. How the brand new page on the Geohub, it's the second most popular page. We can, if we have time at the end, we can go over that or whatever.
Uh, So there's a company called AB Newswire that are really great. This is who I primarily use for press releases. They usually end up being about $50 depending on how many you do. They go as low as like $25 per press release. They get you about I'm gonna say close to maybe 400 links. Let me pull up a report. Uh,
Press release is a real nice, safe way of easily getting a link to your site, right?
yep, yep,
And then you can always, just the general algorithm, once you get a link, you could, go to Fiverr and send some garbage over, to that index link.
yep.
Sometimes, depending on your relationship with the vendor, they may not like that, especially on the PBN side or certain brands, right? Because they still want to keep their links and their pages clean as such. But You always want to be able to send links to your links. And that's why
Yes.
inner links on your page itself are so important.
Yeah. So here's basically kind of what a report would look like. It's got onto every single one of these sites. Some of them are pretty major brands. You'll notice through here, some of them are um, still pretty good, but just not a higher authority as some of the major news outlets. But it's the great thing about these guys, it's really self-serve. So if you have your own content that you want to write about that is newsworthy, they allow, 2, 3, 4 links on a single article or a single release. And then this is kind of an example of what the actual article piece would look like. As far as the overall, here's a couple of things that I do, especially if you're going to be using this for GMB. I always link out to your hub page, your Geohub, which is basically the URL like Keith showed you on his slides with that laundromat. So that link is going into your initial press release. You can also so you're basically sending a branded link there, and any keywords that you can. You also can send a link directly to your Google Map listing itself. And then also the great thing about these guys is that you can actually embed your GMB listing directly into their press release.
Yeah, that's nice. And of course, ChatGPT can crank a press release out real quickly, and you can fine tune, edit it, and away you go.
Yep. All right, so kind of shooting through. Does anybody have any questions? I know we're moving along here.
No, nothing's has popped in.
All righty.
They're probably just like eating the popcorn, like, oh my gosh, right? It's like fire hose. Like, like these guys, they're just telling us everything. If this is how you do it, yes, this is how you do it. There's really,
Yeah, there's nothing like no trickery like Keith mentioned. This is very, I call it basically direct SEO. It's very oriented around the brand, the GeoHub, having a highly converting site. The anchors that I use are going to be the brand, and depending if I need to create the relevance for the brand. So like if the brand was just ABC Company and I'm a plumber, then I would attach plumbing or plumber to the brand. So the actual anchor would be ABC Plumber or ABC Company, then plumber, and then send that directly to your GeoHub. If you already have a brand that you think is pretty well established, which basically like if I were the type of brand directly on Google and you at least see your main site and some social media accounts, citations, then for that GeoHub, then I would start to use I would get a little bit more aggressive and use a keyword. So something like, plumbers, in Dallas, Texas, or something like that. With the link that I send to your GMB, then I'll mainly use the main topical or something that's topical in a near me search. So if it was again just ABC Company, I would just send plumbing services or plumbers near me and have that anchor go directly to your GMB listing.
yeah, that was a good question. Thank you.
Yep. There's a lot of different types of links, but these are the ones that we find that we don't really need to do a ton of link building, but there are other things like niche edits and things like that. We don't do any type of guest posting. We don't do major blogging or anything like that. So the main things that we do is just really pushing some of those branded citations that are, the major ones, and then getting a press release. The great thing is now that we're sending these links and building everything to these GeoHubs, your GeoHub is really kind of that main, that's why we call it a hub, because now you're interlinking to all of your major cities that you cover. You're linking out to all the major services, city plus service. So once you start sending everything to that main hub, you're not having to do a lot of link building out to, to those additional pages.
Ron had a question here. Let me,
The GMB.
yeah, I was gonna say, you could actually, the wishy-washy obviously has everything loaded in there. Or you could pull it up if you wanted out of Boise. So you noticed, or if you was going to say, the actual website link is the Geohub.
Yep.
Cha-ching.
And those GeoHubs are typically going to be an internal page. That's what we use as our main preference. There's if you're going to be using your home page, which is okay, for your GMB, then you're basically going to be treating your home page like the hub page.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, he was wondering about the GMB in the
Yeah, so
in the press
the
release
GMB,
portion.
you can use the share link um if you want. Also too, this you can use either this one or the CID will work. I typically it depends on the and then usually on like the next round of press release. So if it depending on how aggressive I need to go, but on the next press release, I might send it to like a review link or a post or something like that. Manipulated URLs, I don't do a lot of things with manipulated URLs. What I used to do is Google actually used to allow you to change some of the GPS up here. So the first GPS that you'll see in the URL is going to be the actual map view. The second GPS that you'll notice in the URL is going to be the actual GPS of the actual location of this listing. So they used to actually allow you to change the GPS up here so that it looks like the listing is showing in a different city. That has been coming in and out. It seems like every few months it works and then all of a sudden it stops working. That's really, as far as manipulated URLs, that's the only one I would really use personally. I might change some of the view. So if I feel like I need to change a different view, I might, use that full URL.
There's good questions.
Yeah.
Excellent. Some of the challenges, like with trying to hide stuff and manipulate and CTR, it's a lot of extra work because you're covering your butt and you've got VPNs, and you just can't ask your friend or your uncle to go try to click onto a listing. You need someone who's really in market, meaning they want to buy that service or that product because Google's tracking all that data. They
Yep.
went to Home Depot, they went to the paint store, they ended up at Sherwin-Williams, they downloaded pictures of paint chips, they have photos of bedrooms. All this adds up. When they become a customer or you send that traffic to the GMB, and then even later they leave a review, bam, you're in the money. Total. That is how you're making Google happy. You're making the customer happy. And I'm talking the person, the actual shopper. And then obviously that's the ranking factor.
Yeah. And one thing you'll notice a lot with the way that we do things, we don't really do a lot of, we don't do any type of like bots or anything like that. There's a lot of guys that like to use like graphic bots. Everything we do is all real user engagement. So if we're using paid ads to send traffic, if we're using any search ads to send traffic, we're not doing anything with any fake bots. That can actually be helpful for us because Google is tracking every single user that's using their platform. So the more that we can get in front of real users, the better off we are. I mean, I've had several cases where we had clients who are like, "Hey, I got a client, or I got a call, from someone way over in Eagle, and my business is like 25, 30 miles away. I don't even know how that happened." And even me, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I let her find out that that user, just by driving by and being within the local area there, and they happened to search for that type of business when they got home, they were able to see the business. So that's why we try to do everything as legit, real as possible by using, real engagement signals and building out these GeoHubs as wide as we can, and doing it this way. Not to say that you can't use, those types of URLs, but we find that you're better off just using exactly what's being displayed.
And no schema.
Yeah, we don't do any scam. There's no
No schema.
markup on our pages. We don't everything that we do, we write content that's based on that's helpful for users and also does have aspects that feeds into the algorithm. But we don't but that those things that that we don't do anything, there's no trickery, there's no extra work.
Yep.
Great question though.
I have the GSC, some other good proof data. I didn't know. Um, you could
Yeah, if
with
you want
what
to
you
show the
got.
GSC for that, yeah, let me go ahead and turn it. Go ahead.
Of course, I got both. There we go. So you guys have probably always seen this, right? This just came in. This is a 28-day update. What's pretty cool is clearly you can see as soon as the site launched, Google's all over it, right? And then they're testing on that Monday, Tuesday. And now we're just going to see, continue climb. The thing I love is this is a brand new page. That page never existed before. And look at 45 clicks compared to the homepage. And the queries, right? It's getting branded queries. It's getting the near me combination queries. So just goes to show you that if you build the page that Google wants to see, it's going to rank, it's going to get action, and this is what people want.
Yeah, and the great thing about this page too is, Google is also tracking conversion points too. So they're recording, sessions from someone using their mobile phones, desktop, whatever. So not only are we feeding the content directly into the algorithm, but we're also covering conversion points. It's a really highly converting page the way we have these laid out. It stands out, it's very easy to accessibly, contact them, get deals, things like that. So keep that in mind when you're just building out your pages that Google is tracking conversions.
Yeah, it's really being smart because you really think about it. The only thing that could be really missing from this page is for this particular customer, people really might be interested in more images. So one idea would be I could put a little slider here where they could scan through, or even just a little button that says see images, see gallery. Because people, there is that classic saying, seeing is believing. And it's so interesting. If you actually search for laundromats on a weekend, images are like a huge thing that pops up in
Yeah.
the knowledge panel. But as you scroll down, you show them services that they can click to right away. They definitely want to know about pricing. We have that, and it just is actually a jump link. It just jumps down to this part of the page. The contact, right? It's like, okay, and look at the level of detail. It looks like a Google My Business page, right? Address, phone. You want to talk to sales, the wheelchair accessible. They have an ATM on site, attendance on duty, vending machines, right? Directions. We take it even a step further. This will open a page that the member can actually type in their membership number and see the active machine, see how busy it is. So it is designed for the customer. Why would they shop anywhere else, right? If this is just 10 minutes away, they're going to go get that comforter clean or get serviced for their dirty laundry.
I would imagine that also too, that even just free Wi-Fi is probably a good selling point because, you're sitting there waiting 45 minutes, hour and
Yep.
a half for, your laundry.
This is highly searched. People, they also look for entertainment. One thing, there's actually a bad thing that they don't do. This is not a 24-hour location. The other city does have 24-hour, and look at that, like I scream it right off. Boom, right? 24-hour, 24-hour. What's really cool, this page is now pushing, it's a different part of the valley, but it's pushing 24-hour, it's showing up in the 24-hour searches just because of the general authority of the site. And again, you're giving exactly what the customer wants. Very similar layout. You want cost, great. It jumps down to costs. You need to go to the contact info. Bam, there it is. Very similar, all laid out.
So one other thing that we're really seeing too coming into the new year is now we're requiring that everyone needs to be involved. So what I mean by that is that, you know, we're covering everything from the agency to the company, their employees, you know, customers when it comes to maps. There's several different engagement optimization points that everyone can be involved with. Starting from the owner, Google justifications would be things like, you know, getting those reviews, writing posts, doing questions and answers, you know, displaying all of your services and products, all the way down to the employee, where the employee, I use this example a lot for like a plumber or tech, locksmith, you know, having the technicians, do these quote unquote check-ins, or basically they're taking photos of their work, everything that they're doing. It could be even, you know, showing different job sites, you know, different jobs that they've done, displaying those on the website, you know, asking the customer for the review. One thing that's really helped a lot of our clients too is that I work with a lot of home services. A lot of times, especially like in emergency type of services, a customer's calling in, you know, they're locked out of their car, they have an emergency plumbing thing at their home. It's a pretty stressful time to call into a company. So they may have a bad experience with the company, the person who answers the phone. There, you know, it could have taken a time where, you know, it took several call attempts to even just to get something scheduled. By the time the technician shows up, they're so flustered and so mad, but they just need to get this done, that when it comes to leaving a review, the customer's looking at the overall experience with that company, not necessarily the technician. It's not the technician's fault that all that stuff had happened beforehand. The technician showed up on time, was ready to work, got it done efficiently, everything's in working order. Well, now that customer's like, okay, well, maybe, you know, again, I still had a bad experience, you know, and they might write a 2-star review because they say, hey, you know, I had a hard time getting a hold of someone when I first called. I've had to schedule this 2 or 3 times because they had scheduling conflicts or whatever it was. So by the time that technician arrives, you know, it's, you know, you're getting a 1 or 2-star review when you could have easily gotten a 5-star review. Now, the way that you can do that is now you as an agency owner or a business owner, you are kind of having to train and get all of your staff involved in the overall optimization process of how to ask for that review. And that could be something as incentivizing your technicians, employees to ask for them. It could be as far as, you know, telling the technician when they arrive, hey, if you could do me a favor, the review that you leave for me is really based on how I did for you as your technician. If you wouldn't mind just leaving a quick review of maybe a photo of the before and after work of how I personally did. I get graded on this and my performance. That way it takes a lot of that pressure, a lot of those things away from the company itself, and now it drives it over to the actual technician who did the work, and that's how you get those 5-star reviews. So that's kind of a little trick to help you get, you know, more reputation. Getting in definitely 5 stars is definitely more beneficial than not. So, you know, the least you want to have to worry about is, you know, getting 1 stars because the customer had a really bad experience with the company in general, but not necessarily with the technician. Again, that could be things, you know, having employees do driving directions to work every morning, you know, maybe answering some questions on that Q&A section, and then going all the way into the customer where, you know, they're leaving reviews, asking questions, you know, taking photos of the technicians, employees of their work and things like that. So I'm really seeing there's a lot more engagement points that I'm seeing new things coming out, like updates with the actual GMB posts. So we're gonna see a lot of this coming into the new year. It's almost like Google Plus is kind of coming back in a way, where Google's like, hey, we want to be a little bit more social and a little bit more hands-free and allow kind of have that engagement between the customer and the business owner.
Yeah. Train your customers, right? A lot of it's just clever messaging, the way you present it. And a human, right? That human technician, that the person has the final touch point, they can really make or break that review. So it's why guys will drive around with clean shirts and they'll wear booties and they'll walk to the door and open the red carpet and clean their feet off and, give the dog a biscuit. And it's like, wow, this is great service. They feel good.
Yep. So that's what we had available today. Were there any questions from you guys? Maybe some things that you're seeing. We have some business owners, agencies, and things like that. Is there any questions that you have about anything we've gone over? Maybe things that you're seeing in regards to just maybe some changes happening, anything that you would like to go over. We'll take a couple minutes to answer some questions.
So, Jordan, I'm having an index problem. How can I get my page indexed?
So there's been a couple of tests that I've been doing. I have been, although I don't use schema, I have been using testing schema to see,
What?
if it is a
How
ranking
dare
factor.
you?
It's not a ranking factor. However, I have seen cases where when I do these tests, that the pages that do have schema on them do get indexed first.
Sure.
So I don't know if there's anything going on as far as, crawlability, things like that, that has been helping. Um, I don't think you need to necessarily do these full local business advanced schema stuff necessarily on the page, but you can probably do something like a basic article schema in there, a web page schema, maybe some local business, like basic organizational type of things. I've also seen cases when we tested, we did event schema that also seemed to help index. There's several kind of external tools that Google uses for testing. You can use now it's not technically Googlebot, but it does kind of help with kind of gearing up towards Googlebot actually crawling your page and actually getting it indexed. So you can use the rich results. Basically does test different Googlebot, schema tester, things like that. Page speed testing tool is a great one. Also too, making sure the site does have Google Analytics installed on the site, and you can actually send just a couple days of some paid traffic, maybe some Facebook ads, cheap display ads. You can get some pretty cheap ads through different geofencing platforms, ones like Taboola, Outbrain. There's another for geofencing specifically called Ground Truth. So you might not only get some benefits with indexing and traffic, but also get some more conversions with it too. One thing that's helped me too, if you're doing any type of like indexing, you've got a new page, maybe send some links to it. One thing that kind of helps me with some of that Google Dance as well is doing paid ads, specifically through social media ads. If you have a brand new page, sending, a couple bucks a day through some Facebook ads, and while you do some of your link building, kind of helps mitigate the long rescoring of your page, which people see that known as the dance. But even now, right now, I still have some pages. I'm still having some issues even doing some of those things. So, but it does help, at least gives you a better chance if you are having issues.
Well, it's the fourth quarter. So obviously we're going to, throttle back. We're going to turn back the indexing so that you buy more ads because, ho, 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 the Grinch, the goblin, Googly Bear has to show up and spoil Christmas time.
Yep. One thing that's also helped too, especially with PPC, ads is sometimes you'll notice that just because you don't necessarily see your page in the physical index doesn't necessarily mean that another user is not seeing it, someone who's searching. I've seen several cases where, they kind of A/B test you for different queries to show that page. So just to kind of help you kind of force them to show it as much as possible, Google Ads has been helping. All right, any other questions here? Let me pull this up. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, so Keith and I have put together a training group that we call using our Trident rank method. It's just if you go to tridentrankmethod.com, you can get put directly into our group. We actually have a private Skype group where we answer questions. We have weekly meetings every single week. Usually bi-monthly or at least once a month, we have just an overall classroom training where we go over certain concepts. And then our weekly meetings are usually consisted of a Q&A where, you can have like one of our students today came on, they had a problem with, losing some traffic on one of their client sites. So that may be something we kind of open up the room to go through the site, kind of take a look at maybe what's going on, and also their GMB as well. I do provide different tools for you guys as well, different scripts that kind of help you automate some of these things, all included for you guys. And then we, cover different subjects, really throughout the month. The price right now, it's 500 for the year. The price is going up. In November, we're going to raise it to $1,000. So if it's something that you want to jump into right now, this is definitely something that you want to get cracking on. Anything you want to add, Keith? I think.
Also as a today only, so in the next 24 hours,
Yeah.
if you signed up, you saw this and you're like, "Yeah, okay, I want to do it because, there's 93 other, we have freelancers, we have DIY, we have agency owners. That's another cool thing. We have other good local SEO pros. You've seen them online, you've seen them at events. They're in this group, so you can pick their brain too, obviously, at their discretion. But if you do join in, one thing that I'm really good at is on page, especially CRO. You can give me your home page, a landing page, a service page. I'll send you a 15-minute video absolutely free, and I'll critique and I'll go through and tell you what I would do to increase your conversions. So that's a $200 product. It's absolutely free if you join into the Trident group.
Does it come with a Lambo? Did it come with a Lambo, Keith?
Uh,
It comes with Keith.
yeah, yeah, you get. I'll leave my shirt on, I promise. And, maybe, put on the Lambo Maniacs shirt. I'll rip my shirt off, baby oil up, whatever you want.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I wanted to thank everyone for coming here today. Feel free to reach out to Keith or myself if you have any additional questions. We're usually found, on LinkedIn, mainly Facebook. I'm sure you'll see some of us in some of these SEO Facebook groups as well. So thank you everybody for coming on here, and looking forward to see you inside the Trident Rank Method. Thank you.
See you, kid.